Hey, and welcome to the Academy podcast with myself, David Lewis, and Chris Lauder here.
Thank you.
What we're going to do in this part of it is we're actually going to tone it down a notch, have it a little bit more casual, have a little bit more of a chat about goal setting and about like how we've set goals in our lives. And we're going to ask each other questions and see what answers come from it. And again, a little bit more casual. Hopefully, you'll probably listen to the workshop about it. And maybe our stories might give you a little bit of inspiration into something that you could potentially do, or something that you could hopefully do better than us with. So, it would give you a bit of inspiration, but ideas of where you could potentially go.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Love it.
Okay, so Chris, ready for question one?
I'm a little bit nervous, but go for it. Hit me.
So, well, you should be nervous here because you're on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an easy first one.
Okay.
What, in terms of the personal development club module there, in terms of what we've got here, if you had to just pick one piece from goal setting, what would be the one that you use most of any of the pages or anything we talked about?
I would say, without a doubt, it's in the 3 pillars. It has to be, and it's probably the cliche answer, but it's definitely understanding the reason for the goal you're setting. I think a lot of people are a little bit flippant with, it'd be nice to do this or to that, or I'll get round to it, or I really should start going on more runs. And that's all a load of bullshit. Okay, if your goals are centered around, what would be nice, or I wouldn't mind doing that, forget it. You're not going to achieve any of it. No, you want to make your goal, you want to have, what I mean here is have the strong why, okay? You got to be very, very clear as to what is the reason why I'm even doing this? Why am I writing down on this piece of paper that I want to do well in my leaving cert? There's no point writing it down and then not having any rationale behind it. If you've got, that compelling, list of reasons why it's going to be good for you and why you want to do it and why you want to put your best foot forward, that is going to be really the catalyst that motivates you on the quest to achieve whatever it is you are trying to achieve. So my big takeaway is really put a lot of thought into why you want to do something, because why, it all starts at why and it all ends with why. Mm-hmm. So that's probably my big takeaway from module 1 of goal setting. Yeah,
it's funny you say that. First of all, when you said should there, I thought you were going to use the Tony Robbins anecdote where he goes, I should do this, I should do that, I should do that. And it's like, pretty soon I've shut all over myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
But that's funny because I remember myself and yourself had a conversation over at Starbucks once, and you were asking me why am I doing certain things? Yeah. And you basically were saying, what is your outcome? What is the reason that you were doing it? Why you're doing it? And I actually remember I got my laptop at the time, and I literally screenshotted it, what is my outcome, and it was on the back of my laptop, and it was actually a picture on the back of my laptop, and it was on the back of my phone. And having that actually going through, when I'd actually kind of said it in certain terms, like I actually have got to start doing some good things in my life, having that and coming back to that question time and time again throughout the day for everything, and then starting to realise why I'm doing things versus going through the motions. I found that to be first of all, eye-opening to the amount of stuff I did for no apparent reason other than I just did it.
Yeah.
And then when I actually started using it to setting goals, like before the goals were, as we've talked about before, I'm going to make 200 million euro tomorrow, and like all that sort of pie in the sky stuff. Whereas then I started actually setting realistic things for myself, or things that that I could achieve, but more importantly, things that I wanted to achieve, things that had the why behind it. So it's it's interesting that it shows that I would have chosen the exact same thing. Knowing a reason for doing something and knowing the why is the most important thing in the world, and very often we're powered either without even realising it, or just because of the circumstance we've got ourselves into without having a why behind something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the bedrock of any kind of the thing you're trying to accomplish. If you know exactly why it's important, you've got those strong reasons. No obstacle is going to come in your way, because you've got that, resourcefulness that we talked about in the first podcast there. It's, reasons come first, answers come second. If you're resourceful enough, you'll find the way, or you'll make the way. And it's the why really is what enables that, wholly and totally. So that's the biggie. That's the silver bullet in module 1 of the goal setting.
Yeah. So often we study or go gym, but why? we know like why we do certain things,
Yeah.
or like even like you brush everyone like well hopefully everyone brushes their teeth.
Yeah.
Why? Like there's a reason behind it.
And absolutely,
Like,
yeah. And it's what's interesting is this almost goes against some of the kind of conventional theory with goal setting is you shouldn't set a goal that's too finite. In that, like once it's done, it's done. Like what I mean by that is you should set a goal like say let's just say I'm unfit, I'm going to run a marathon, right? And if that's your goal, it's probably not a very good one because once let's just say you get to run the marathon, that's quite a good achievement. What happens though is that someone who kind of just says, I'm going to run a marathon, I've never run before, I'm not really a runner, I'm just going to run a marathon. Once they run the marathon, what often happens is they never run again because they feel like they've done it, what's the point? And that why wasn't a very good one. Whereas if the person said, you know what, my why is I want to become a runner, that's very different. Because what that means is the marathon's just a step on the journey to becoming a runner. And if you say I'm going to become a runner and you run a marathon, you'll be looking forward to the next one because you're now a runner. So if you want to set really good goals, we'd say don't be too finite and limiting in what they are. Instead, try and say to yourself, I actually want to become the behavior that is required to achieve that goal, if that makes sense. So you've got to kind of have a bit of an identity shift. For example, someone who we always use the gym as an example, but it's quite a good one in that people who want to get fit often sign up for the gym in January and they're like, I just want to go to the gym 3 times a week. And they do that for a month and then they stop. And like their goal was just to go 3 times a week, but like they really should have thought about a little bit broader than that, a little bit more like bigger than that, and said, I want to become the type of person who regularly goes to the gym. I want to become the type of person who never misses a workout. If that's the goal, that's got longevity. And that is going to keep you on the path. It's like, why do you want to go to the gym? Why do you want to become a person who never misses a workout? It's probably because you want to be a healthy and fit person. If you boil it down, that's really the real reason. And if you frame it like that, I think you're more likely, and with a why like that, you're more likely to stay the course and become the thing you want to become.
Oh, very good, very good. Nailed.
Well, look.
Yeah.
Good question. What can I say?
Yeah.
This is what if I was to ask you a question, right? And this is, I think, a lot of people want to know is what areas across your life do you have goals set in? So if you were to pick, let's say, 4 areas that you have goals in, what would they be?
Perfect. Well, can I tell you a bit of a long-winded answer?
Yeah. We got all the time in the world.
Okay, so on currently on Stephen's Day last year, let's just say I had a small accident where I injured myself and I could not leave my house for like 5 days first of all, and then I could barely walk for a while.
Okay.
So when New Year's came around after Christmas, I was literally stuck in my house. So that's when I first of all started watching The Sopranos, which was 10 out of 10.
It is.
And then I because I don't really watch shows, but then in between honestly watched it all in that period there. In between that time, I would go up to the office and I was like, okay, I'm going to set some big goals for this year, some really, really big goals. And I kept going up there and listening to certain people, certain how to set goals, and basically, obviously, all the stuff we distilled the information was into here. And every day I did it, I just got deeper and I got deeper and deeper. And like, first of all, it was setting goals for things. Second of all, then it was setting goals and like what I wanted to like do. But then it actually got even deeper and it actually turned into be, it's actually everything came back to the person that I wanted to be, the person that I wanted to represent, all the, like kind of like you said, they're all the traits that come into it. Now, so the person that I want to be is a person that, gives 100%, 10% to everything, that, has fun in life, that is caring with their like family and friends, that gives time to things, but at the same time a person that plans out stuff, a person that can organize, a person that can solve problems, a person that's not afraid to do things that they potentially haven't done before. And that's what it kind of came down to. And then I kind of said, okay, well, what does this person, how do I actually, you don't just say I am that person, you have to actually set it in different areas. So I had, first and foremost, I had I'm going to try be the healthiest that I can be. I'm going to have the most amount of energy that I can be. So I set a health goal. But all of these goals are like a Venn diagram. They're interlinking with other goals to be the person is the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I had a health goal, but I suppose you could also say that there's a gym goal for that as well.
Yeah.
But then with that gym goal, it was I was talking about doing workouts, things that I've never done before, and something I'm not comfortable with. It wasn't just like I was going to become a bodybuilder or something like that. I wanted to. Someone that we love, for example, David Goggins, he has this thing that when you think you're quit, you're only at 40%. And I started to see that once he opened my eyes to it. So I started to see, I wonder what I'm capable of doing. And it's not for the sake of doing one of those workouts. It's because it puts me in a position where I question myself and I second guess what's actually happening in my brain. And every time I beat that, I feel more confident that I can do stuff that's outside the gym as well. Yeah. So anyway, health goal. So because I know that when I'm actually awake, for the 16 hours that I'm awake or whatever it ends up being on that day, that I want to be 100%, because no matter how many hours you're awake, if you're only at 50%, where you're only getting 50% of your output, 50% of your enjoyment, 50% of you to give to somebody else. So health goal was massively important, and that came with the gym. And then the gym actually then put me into like doing things that I wasn't used to doing, because I set this CrossFit goal, but then with other stuff on top of it as well. So I had to develop loads of different skills. With that in mind, then I was saying, okay, well, I want to be, I want to, whatever I'm doing, give it 110%. And obviously I love my career and I love teaching. So I was like, okay, I want personally to be the best teacher I can be, to teach the most amount of people, to break down teaching into almost like CrossFit, different skills. Yeah. So in that CrossFit, in actually being a teacher, there's different skills. There's presenting, there's trying to get stuff across, there's trying to hook people's attention, there's trying to motivate them. There's loads of different things. There's obviously knowing the course content, there's like the planning the class, planning the term, planning for everybody. So I wanted to then like be a really, really good teacher, and I felt that my organisational skills would come across to that. But then obviously in who I was teaching and how I was teaching results, I was getting that was a separate goal as well. But I consider that in the same sort of ring. But then probably like that's massively important. My career is really important, because that enables me to then spend really good quality time and actually help those that I love, like my family and my friends. So I really wanted to be. I spent enough amount of years not being the best son in the world, so I wanted to be the best son and the best brother that I could be. So I set goals for that I'm going to, spend X amount of time with my parents, not because I feel I have to do it, but because if I don't put it there, it's not going to happen. Yeah. And I get so much from it, and I get so happy with it. I've been guilty in the past of just completely focusing, say, on work. Yeah. And that's all I'm doing, and forget that like I have all these other facets of my life, which actually then end up helping work. Yeah. Because I'm happier when I'm here. So my family, and then there's kind of also like what would you call it, like miscellaneous sort of thing. So that is different things that I want to make sure that I've done this year, certain concerts or holidays I want to go to, or places that I want to go in the world, and books. I suppose I keep going there, because basically I did have a lot of time when I was falling when I injured myself. So then it was like books that I want to read, because that would help develop the person I am. So realistically, I sat down with who I wanted to be. How does this person become this person? And it came down to like health, gym, work, family, personal life, and then how to make myself a bit. I suppose how to make me a better me, how to sharpen my axe, and that was through reading books and experiencing different things. Wow, Jesus. My God, there's a lot in that. There's a lot to kind of process and unpack there. I kind of noticed three things. Number one was you said you had a kind of accident and something bad happened to you. Yeah. And now you did one thing that was probably not that productive, but I also enjoyed the show a lot. Watched The Sopranos from start to finish. That would have been some marathon, fair play. Yeah. And I probably will do it again soon myself. But what's funny is like you were faced with a bit of adversity there. Like you were knocked back a few pegs. And it's often when that happens to us, we either rise up to the occasion and kind of do something good about it, or we don't. And it's often when something bad happens that it's an opportunity to make something good of it. And that's the mindset of someone, I think, with a strong mentality. Is like when something bad happens to you, don't look at it like, oh, poor me, oh, this sucks. Look at it as like, well, what's good in this? What can I do to get an advantage here? And I think you chose the latter. You went in and you said, okay, I've got a lot of time to myself now. I'm not being distracted and bombarded by other people's to-do lists or other people at me. I've got time alone here, and I'm going to use this time to reflect. And reflect you did, Jesus Christ. I've never heard someone say
the way you did so articulately, that your goals are kind of like a Venn diagram, which all overlap with each other, which form really the person that you want to be. I thought it was really, really interesting. I think it's so true. Like, what are goals? Goals are really just a vote for the type of person we want to be. You know, I think Arnie had a quote, one of my heroes, and I think yours as well. He said, never decide, you know, what you want to do, decide who you want to be. And I think that's quite an empowering kind of statement. And, you know, you should, rather than think about what you want to do, decide who you want to be. And why is that important? And finally, the third thing really is that, from what I understood from what you said, was that it was the effect you can have on other people. By being the person you want to be allows you to affect other people, be it the students that you teach in a positive way, or your own family and your own friends. And I think there's a great saying, I think like Jim Carrey had once, was the effect you have on other people is the most valuable currency that there is. And I think there's a lot of truth in that you can't take it with you, but you can't take money with you, whatever. But what you do leave behind is the effect you had on other people. So I thought that was quite a poignant response to the question I gave you. It kind of blew my mind, to be honest. It was amazing.
It's quite hard to explain it without me kind of just pointing at stuff like this without having this Venn diagram or having this idea.
No, I got a picture of it though. Yeah.
It's but it was crazy after after literally doing it, like thinking that I've set these goals for years and then writing it down and just go, why? No, I don't want that. What am I talking? And just thrown away. And then eventually you go deeper and deeper with yourself, which is very hard to do sometimes, and you realise actually that's something that I
big time.
Like, and it's
very hard to do. Yeah.
It's affected this entire year. It's been the best year of my entire life in terms of like everything that I've just mentioned there. And it started off with that, so it's fantastic.
Well done, Jesus.
Yeah, so my next question is for you, and again, this is a bit of an open-ended question. It's like, when do you set goals? So when does Chris Lauder set goals, and like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like, when do you decide it's time, or when do you, or is it like year, or are you thinking every day or week, month? Like what do you do? There's
an old Chinese proverb which says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. And I think what that means is there's no time to kind of do anything. You know, the best time to set any goal is kind of immediately, you know, straight away. Don't wait for a point in the calendar to set a goal. If you feel that there's something out there that you want to achieve and want to do, like, don't wait for any kind of permission, be it the 1st of January to roll around. In fact, I actually would say to people, don't set goals on the 1st of January, because you're usually a little bit inebriated or, you know, hungover from the night before, and it's certainly not the best state of mind to be in to set goals. You know, this whole new year, new me, that's really a load of rubbish. I think the best time to set a goal is kind of the here and now. It's whenever you kind of, you know, feel compelled to do so. Sit down and write a plan as to what you want to do. And the important thing is, like, it's always, like I said, with personal development, it's a process you continually are involved in. And goal setting is that. It's just continually refining. And as you see, you know, another peak on the end of your journey, as you go over the horizon, just set it as you see it, you know, rather than waiting for someone to come along and say, you know what, 1st of January, there you go, mate, there's a blank sheet of paper. You know, want to have your goals by the end of the day. Don't do that. My advice is do it now. Do it straight away. Do it, you know, just do it.
Mm-hmm. So, and then with that, like, so do you have goals, like, say, for the next month? Do you do it at the start of the month as well? Would you do it by the week? I know we've discussed about, like, the morning.
Yeah.
I know, and then obviously you said, like, it's not just the calendar year, but do you have like a set time when you sit back and reflect? Have I got this? Or is that kind of what you're saying? There's a consistent process of you reflecting and then saying, oh, that's not done, or that maybe there's some sort of organisation tool that you have where you're saying that's meant to be done maybe by this certain time.
Yeah.
And then that helps you reflect and then set the next one and push yourself over that horizon, or? Certainly,
yeah. No, I'd say that, like, similar to yourself, like, you do have an overall vision as the type of person that I want to become, and that would definitely be, like, you know, a 2 or 3 year kind of timeline to kind of become that. And as soon as you get there, you should always move the goalpost for 2 or 2 or 3 more years beyond that. But once you say you have a period of time like 2 or 3 years, you then have to break that down obviously into smaller chunks. Like one of the big parts of achieving anything is being able to chunk something big down into something small, into bite-sized chunks. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? Well, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. And say if you're going to climb Mount Everest, you don't just start from base camp and walk up to the peak. No, what you do is you go to camp 1, then you go to camp 2 and camp 3 and camp 4, and then you go for the peak. So if you've got your big kind of overarching goals, that's where I want to be, you then have to break that down into sub goals along the way. And you don't always know what those steps are going to be. And you always have to kind of start with the first few steps, and as you achieve those, then you kind of plan the next few steps. But I certainly would have a tool. I've got a big Excel sheet, pretty simple and put a bit of old school like on this, but I have an Excel sheet with 2-year plan. Then I've got, okay, within that, how does that break down into 12 months, and how does that 12 months break down into 4 quarters rather. And then even down to the week, I'd have in the week what I want to do to move myself forward on the journey towards becoming the person I want to be in 2 years. But even then breaking that down to the day, something I've started doing, this is off your own recommendation, is I have a little red book over there that I take out in the morning when I get up at 6, I sit down, cup of coffee, and I write down every single hour of the day what I want to be doing for that day. And like for the first thing I write in is plan my day at 6:15. I literally write that in. Then I'll have gym at 7. And then after that, I'll have breakfast at 8:30. I literally write in everything. And then I'll have 9 o'clock, I'll be doing this for an hour. And I put a time limit on it, which is really important. Something I said in module 1 there is our tasks expand the time frame that we give them. And if you put a time frame on something, you're more likely to get work toward that time frame and get the thing done. Now, you won't always do it, but you'll get better at doing it over time, and you'll learn kind of where you're at in terms of how quick you can do things. So yes, to answer your question, I would have certainly a bit of a system for breaking down goals, and that's kind of effectively how it works. Is you start with a big goal, then you break it down into smaller chunks, and then you break it down into micro chunks, whereby every single day you kind of have a plan for the day and you track it. And what's actually really good about tracking kind of even your goals within a day, or the tasks you're trying to do within a day, if you actually go through ticking them off, even little things like, if you're going to make your bed, you want to write it in. And the reason you want to write that in and tick it off is you want to start building up, a list of tasks you've done and achieved. And what that does is it builds a bit of momentum into your day. It builds a sense of, geez, I'm winning here. I'm doing little things, but I'm building a chain of wins. And if you start building a chain of wins, you don't want to break the chain. You want to keep the chain going. And that momentum carries you through the day. And that momentum also then carries you through the week. And if you live your week by that, then your month is suddenly looking like that as well. And it's all about just habitually doing that over and over again. It's like, the old saying, you are what you do every day. And that certainly applies, over time. If you consistently stick to a plan, you will move towards achieving whatever goals you have. Hope that makes sense. Probably a little bit long-winded, but that's essentially definitely what I'm looking at.
But what I took from that, what I think is so interesting is the Excel sheet that's there, so what has to be done, when it has to be done, and it's something that I actually said last year. I think it was on the podcast to students about, they think, I have to get this amount of points in their head, so in it, and then they find it hard to break it down to a day or into a month or into a week. But we said, imagine you get 3 points a day from now until your leaving cert, or even if you talk about running, imagine I said to you, last year I ran over 1,000 kilometers. It's like less than 3 kilometers a day. That's so easy.
It's nothing. Yeah,
so when it adds up over time, it's crazy.
Big time. It's that compounding effect that we talked about with personal development. Now, if you were to improve 1% every day, just get 1% better. Let's just say you're trying to get better at French. If your French got 1% better every single day, at the end of the year, you will be 37 times better at French. If you just consistently get 1% better every single day. And those 1% add up to make a big, big difference at the end of the year. And that goes with anything you do. It's just consistently over time, sticking to something over and over again, you will have that compounding effect of whatever skill you're trying to develop.
Yeah. So I think it's fascinating. I just love when you hear about something big that happens. You see the final result and you realise it's actually just for some reason I'm really attracted to that notion of just building something small over time, consistently into something quite big.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And talking about big, one of the goals that I set myself a number of years ago now, probably 5-6 years ago, was to kind of get over this fear of public speaking. This is a fear that's universal across the entire globe. It's actually the number one fear of the average person, above death, believe it or not, is public speaking. And I knew myself that I had to get over this fear, because, you know, if we are going to do what we're doing now, and that is, you know, build something really, really significant, something that we're really, you know, committed to doing, you know, which is the academy, which is, we want to build the best school in the country here. And in order to do that, you need to be able to public speak. It's just part and parcel of the, you know, of the journey. And I knew I had to get over that fear, so I kind of forced myself into doing it. And I set goals all along the way to do that, and did courses, and I got mentors and practiced. And I can tell you now, I'd like to think I'm over the fear now. I'm always getting better. You know, I have the growth mindset. Certainly, I don't think I'm anywhere near mastery. I'm far from it, but I'm certainly over the initial fear of it. But I can tell you that one goal that I set, that one goal, that you know, I feel like I've achieved it, but I'm still becoming a public speaker, a better one. Like I said earlier, you know, for me that had like a massive kind of overflowing effect into other areas of my life, in that it gave me confidence across the board in other arenas. By just getting good at that and overcoming something quite significant, I found myself getting better at other things as well. And my question to you is, what was the one goal that you set for yourself that made you, you know, once you achieve it, it had profound effects across other areas of your life? What was that goal?
Just need 1 second to think. So there's one thing that I've achieved that had a profound effect. It's more maybe of a, I don't know, philosophical answer to this. There was not one time that I've done something that's made me who I am, which is kind of the goal.
Fair.
But basically, if there's one thing that has stuck with me throughout my life, which has gone even before I even knew about it to now, and that is like challenges with health and fitness. So any sort of like rugby challenge, any sort of fitness challenge, I have found that so much of my confidence and belief in any area that I have has stemmed from winning there. The same way potentially an actor, when he or she won a speech and drama session when they were younger, or anything that they stood out in when they were younger, that enables them then to public speak, or that enables them to go ahead and start a business or something like that. Or the same way, it's very often, you know, there's students in school that have gotten wins, say for their leaving cert, and then when they've got their wins, they've spread out into other areas. I had a student, for example, who didn't do very good junior cert, wasn't very good in 5th year, and then he decided to basically win at his leaving cert, and now he's doing very well in college, but he's doing an incredible amount of other things as well. So like you said, it's spilled over. So I would say that my biggest win was overcoming certain obstacles like that I set in place for myself, certain things that I didn't think I could do, and then I went ahead and did them, which then gave me the mindset to go ahead and do something else. So it's not, they gave me the core belief that I could actually challenge what I felt was possible for me in other areas, such as we said, my career, or maybe even like purchasing like a house or whatever, going on these holidays where I was before I didn't think it was possible for me to be able to go on like a 6 or an 8 week holiday, because I was of the mindset of, I gotta scrounge together some money to go ahead and go to Spain for a week with the lads or whatever it was. So, but I just think that when I started to find that, okay, there was a compounding effect in my confidence from pushing myself past something that I was already like proficient enough in, but pushing myself even further and further, it started to open my eyes to realise that other things are actually quite like this, but it's just that I don't have the mental focus on them in the same way. Everything else is about confidence, and then pushing it a little further. I suppose if you actually then picked, say, one thing that I did that was massively out of my comfort zone that completely changed me, that was going to the Tony Robbins event. Because I remember, I think I spoke about this one of the days that I was chatting to my cousin, and I nearly wanted him to tell me the answer. I was like, I'm not a millionaire, I don't know what to do in my life or whatever. And he was like, all right, just calm down, just relax for a second. You have to go to this event. And this event was a significant amount of money, and I was like, I can't afford that. And he was like, well, you have to. So I did whatever I could to go ahead and get that money together to go to that event. First of all, I had a really bad experience with traveling by myself before. I was scared of planes. I actually have literally flown a plane. I just don't like it. There's something like about it. And like it's just like I was nervous to go by myself. I then I was staying.
Did you ask to fly the plane?
No, not that time. The last time I did that, I was asked to leave, and it's hard.
That was the bad experience, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. So then I had to go to. It was over in London, and I know it sounds deadly, but for me, I didn't actually know anyone in London at the time. Yeah. And then I had to go to this event with a load of people that I don't know, which is an incredibly interactive event. Like you have to every single hour you're meeting new people, you're doing an activity or out of comfort zone, and I learned a lot from that event. Actually in retrospect, when I sat down and tried to put down what I actually learned, there was lots of from the content, but lots from the experience too. So that was one thing that, okay, I had to get the money together. I had to go do something I didn't want to do. I was nearly going to, like, honestly, after paying that amount of money, going towards the air coach to go to the airport, I was like, oh my God, do I have the flu? And like I didn't, but like my brain was coming up with these excuses. And loads of stuff, and then I was kind of like, I'll just go to the conference for the first day. It's like a 4-day event. I pay loads of money. It's like, oh, I'll suit the first, but then once I did it, it was phenomenal. The effect that it had. That I wasn't nervous about talking to other people, or I wasn't nervous about going away somewhere by myself, or anything like that. Yeah.
What's so interesting about that, I'd say, when that idea entered your head to go to that event, you probably had a belief that, there was a moment of hesitation. You had a belief that you didn't believe you were the type of person that could do that. And that belief was like the top of a table. And that belief was been held up by reference points, like the legs of the table. Yeah. For example, like one of the legs was, I don't know if I could travel to London because I don't really know anyone there. And another leg is like, I don't know if I like planes. I don't really like traveling on my own. Yeah. Another one is like, it costs a lot of money. Like, geez, I couldn't possibly spend all that money on this event. Another one would be like, I don't like talking to people I don't know. And they're all holding up this table of belief that I'm not the type of person who would go to that. But you also made a choice. No, I'm going to challenge those beliefs. And then what you probably did was, over time, you got on the plane and you realised that, no, I actually can travel, on a plane. So that belief, the leg holding up, the table with you're not liking planes, was taken away. And then, you realised that London wasn't that big and scary. You kind of found your way around, and, not knowing anyone in London wasn't a big deal at all. And that leg went away. And then you realised that, the show was actually really, really interesting. The money you'd spent was worth it. Then that leg came out. And then finally you start talking to loads of people, and then you come out of your shell maybe a bit, and then suddenly that leg. And what happens to the top of the table when you take all the legs away? I.e. the belief.
Yeah, gone.
It crashes down. And then what you do is you pick up another belief. And the total opposite happens, that I can travel somewhere on my own on a plane. I can go to London on my own. I can spend money on an event that I get value from, and I can talk to people that I had never talked to before and come out of my shell. And you have a new belief that you are the type of person who can do that. So it's all about kind of just challenging beliefs and forming new ones.
Yeah, ironically, that summer I then went to it was close after that. I went to my two of my best mates are down in New Zealand, and I actually travelled all the way down to New Zealand, and I actually didn't get to see them for the first 2 days because they were driving the van down somewhere else, so I was there. Then, because I was there, I went off to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia for a bit by myself, met a few other mates, and it was brilliant. One of the best trips I've ever been on my entire life. And you wouldn't have thought that, was it 9 or 10 months before?
Yeah.
Actually less, I think, that I was thinking about faking being sick after spending probably nearly the same amount of money as I did in the trip to New Zealand to go to this course. So it's
Isn't it just fascinating how challenging beliefs and just one by one removing the reference points that you have for that belief and replacing them with positive reinforcing ones can have this knock-on effect. And sure, look where you are now.
Stillorgan. I travelled to Stillorgan by myself.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it.
But you get the idea.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think we have that much time left. But if I could ask you one more question, is that right?
Yeah, please.
So basically, I was gonna ask you a little bit about what. So again, all about goals, all about practical goals achieved for success. But we wanted to be a little bit more of a chat about you. What would be for you the right now, and again, you don't have to go into massive detail, something that scares you about a goal you have set?
Something that scares me.
Okay, so maybe that's a bad way to, like, something that you see yourself, and any of, say, the goals or the things that you want to do or the person that you want to be, something that you find yourself maybe the odd time, like I was doing, getting the flu, like subconsciously, like lying to yourself by, like, not on purpose, but like kind of saying, no, I don't have to get up today to do that. Is there anywhere like that?
Yeah. Look, there's probably one, and I wouldn't say scares me, but there's one thing that I really want to do, and that's become like obsessed with kind of learning and getting new skills and new knowledge. And obviously, one of the ways to do that is to absorb information. And I think with everyday life, we can kind of get caught up in the rigmarole of like your daily grind, and you don't make time for yourself to learn new stuff. And one of the things I said, actually, truth be told, I did this on the 1st of January, I'm breaking my own rule here, but I said I was going to read 52 books in a year. And the reason why I was kind of motivated to do that was I was watching a documentary on Bill Gates, who reads a book a week. And I'm thinking to myself, if Bill Gates can read a book a week, surely anybody on planet Earth can. And he is obsessed with learning and getting better. So I must set myself this kind of goal of reading a book a week. And what I did was I kind of started posting on my Instagram. No, Instagram gives a damn. But the reason I was doing it was
How many followers are you on?
I don't even know, like five
followers.
Yeah. Well, it's you.
Like me.
It's
me, my other account,
and my mum. My mum's other account. So anyway, scares me is probably not the right kind of way to position this, but it's something that I'm struggling with big time. In that I started off quite well. I posted now after 3 or 4 days. I posted a book. I read a book and I marked it out of 10 and what I thought of it. And then like the second week went by. Obviously it's January. You're pumped. You're motivated. Read another book. I got to about April. And I was like, oh, Jesus, like this is really difficult, like reading a book a week, and it was quite taxing. And I'm a slow reader, like I'm not that quick. I had to put aside a lot of time for this. And I kind of started, falling off the wagon in a big way. And once you fall off the wagon, once you derail yourself on when I was talking about a chain of good events, I had a chain of bad events. And now like I'm really struggling to pick up the book again. And I'm starting to do it now, and it's kind of coming back to the planning mechanism I was talking about. In the morning I wake up, I write down everything I'm going to do today. One of those things is half an hour, I literally just write in, read the book. Read whatever book it is you're reading, just read that book. And the way to kind of re-rail yourself back on is making time for something. Once something gets scheduled, it gets done. And I think if you put aside a time for it, commit to it, make yourself a little bit accountable to it, you're more likely to do it. So that's kind of something I'm kind of trying to put myself back on the straight and narrow to do.
How many books are you on?
I've read, Jesus Christ, I think it's around 25 books this year. For me, that's pretty good because previous to that I might have read 1 or 2 books in a year. So it's great, and I'm still slow at reading, although I'm getting kind of quicker. I actually got a speed reading course now. I'm fucking going to try to get stuck into, excuse my French. But that's one of the things that I've struggled with, but I'm kind of back on. I'd like to think, for the next 3 months, I'm going to give it socks.
I see you sharpen your axe with the reading, so you can read faster.
That's it, big time.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
One more. We got one more.
Okay. What one piece of advice would you have for someone who's just starting out, setting goals, and it's in a territory they're not familiar with, so they have to do something they've kind of never really done before? What kind of golden nugget are you going to give this person, to help them on the road towards achieving that goal? So it's something they're unfamiliar with.
Yep.
It's out of their comfort zone stuff.
Yeah. Write down every single thing. This is really easy. Easy. Write down every single thing that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Break it down and then do it.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. That sounds weird. So anything that you are not good at, or anything that you are finding scary, anything that you find yourself making excuses of, write that down first. Write it from that mindset. Just stuff you don't want to do. Forget about the second part I've said there. Write all that stuff down, and then resolve with yourself that that's getting done, and then make a plan for how it's getting done. And if it doesn't have to be for you, you don't have to think about it for you. Think about it as if it was for me. Think about it as if it was for David or for Chris or for one of your mates. If let's just say if Peter had to get this done, these are all the things that I wouldn't want to do, but this is how Peter could do it, and then schedule it in your time. It's that's pretty much it.
Very good. So it's kind of like building accountability and make it for someone else, not for you.
Yeah, and I think that by doing the stuff that you don't want to do, you actually feel so good. And then obviously once that's done, I just know if it's an essay or if it's something like making notes or something like that, you know, sometimes you don't want to do. When you get that done, the thing that you don't want to do, or the thing that you're making an excuse of, that's actually where you get the most, I suppose, dopamine or the reward from that. It's like, oh, that's done. Unbelievable. It's like you have the, or something we're going into next week with, say, a toughest task. But it's just you feel, oh my God, that's done. It's like a weight lifted off you. Suddenly a new person with loads of energy, and the other stuff inevitably gets done. Versus if you do the other way around, it's terrible. So if they're going into something, literally, exactly like I said, write down stuff you don't want to do, break it down, and schedule.
Nice, a lot of value there.
Yeah, sweet. So Chris, I think we got to head off. So fantastic getting the chats in. It's great to hear about your goals, and great to hear that you've committed on the airwaves here to read 27 more books for the rest of this year.
Oh God.
No, I'm only
I'll do it.
We'll break it down, and just to call myself out as well. One of my goals was to, and I said this to you today, was to do 1,000 chin-ups in a day. Yesterday I went for it and I failed. So by the end of the year,
made you get?
You have to get 711. So pretty a little far off.
It's disappointing.
I need a couple more. Goes, but I think it's nice just to put ourselves out there that something like that we have to be accountable for what we say.
Absolutely.
But Chris, obviously all the time, seriously good nuggets there. Really looking forward to recording and talking about the workshop next week for the morning routine of a Navy SEAL, and really looking forward to discussing our morning routines and seeing how they differ, maybe giving each other advice, and maybe hopefully taking a few nuggets from you.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. Cheers.
Right. Thanks very much, mate. Thank you.